Sri Lanka is at peace for the first time in a generation, and the sense of relief here in Colombo is palpable. Victory over the Tamil Tigers is expected to deliver new levels of security and new economic opportunity. But what about political freedom and human rights? The war may be over, but the people here still live under a state of emergency. Why? And when will it end? The Sri Lankan army crushed the last vestiges of Tamil Tiger resistance in May 2009. The final phase of the military offensive cost thousands of lives, and it led to a welter of allegations of human rights abuses and war crimes. In Colombo, last year's army victory over the Tamil Tigers generated a euphoria that has yet to wear off. This display of military muscle came on the first anniversary of the war's end. In Sri Lanka, security remains a preoccupation. President Mahinda Rajapaksa, his image unmissable on Colombo's streets, was re-elected earlier this year as the strongman who vanquished the Tigers. He and his family now enjoy remarkable political power. But the era of Rajapaksa domination has brought with it controversy, much of it surrounding this man, Sackur Fonseca, the army commander who delivered victory over the Tigers and then decided to enter politics. His decision to challenge Rajapaksa for the presidency exposed the frailty of Sri Lankan democracy.
We are not accepting the results, and we have recorded the protest.
Fonseca didn't just lose the election, he lost his liberty too. The war hero is now on trial before a military court. The general is off limits to journalists.
This is very difficult time, but what to do? We have to go through this.
But every evening his wife, Anoma, is allowed to visit him, and she helped me find a way to reach him by phone. General Fonseca, it is Stephen Sackur here from BBC HARDtalk.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm very well, how are you?
I'm okay.
Let me ask you this, General Fonseca. Why do you believe you are being held in detention?
Because I was the main opponent in the presidential campaign, and we have enough information that they have smart rigging.
In the military court, you stand accused of playing politics while you were still in uniform and of financial wrongdoing in terms of the military budget. These are serious charges.
So these are all bogus charges. Problem is we don't have justice. The political interference with even the judiciary.
Who do you believe is behind the decision to put you in detention and to put you on trial?
Obviously, it's Mahinda Rajapaksa, not anybody else.
Last September, you claimed that the Defense Secretary had ordered that surrendering LTTE Tamil Tiger leaders should not be allowed to surrender but should be shot. Do you believe that that claim that you made is also linked to your detention?
What I said was there were some media people who were in the field. They have said that there was a message like that from Defense Secretary to one of the division commanders. At the same time, I know that this attempt to surrender with white flags, the telephone conversation took place with the Norwegians. The Norwegians spoke to Mr. Basil Rajapaksa, and Mr. Basil Rajapaksa spoke to the Defense Secretary.
You have said that you are willing to cooperate and testify in any war crimes tribunal investigation. Are you still prepared to testify?
I am aware of. I will not try to hide anything.
Do you believe that there should be measures taken, whether it's through the United Nations or through other international groupings, to really put pressure on your government?
The world has to do whatever they can do within their the powers to put this government on the right track. Otherwise, they will intimidate people, they will harass people, they will put people in jail. The people are being abducted. There are missing people. We have to stop this. We have to put an end to this.
General Fonseca, thank you for being on Hard Talk.
Thank you very much.
The media has become the front line in a high-stakes struggle between the forces of authoritarianism and the institutions of a free society.
That was a look at a developing story.
I'm trying to implement this as an education.
Here at MTV, which operates Sri Lanka's most popular independent TV channels, the news team treads a fine line in every bulletin.
We're now going for a short commercial break. Stay with us.
In Sri Lanka, journalists know they are under constant scrutiny. Reporting here can be a hazardous business. It's not that independent and investigative journalism is impossible. It's just that the individual journalists and organizations prepared to do it face harassment, intimidation, and worse. Early last year, MTV's main transmission station was attacked and gutted by an armed mob. It followed government criticisms of MTV's reporting of the war in the north. Here, graphic evidence of an uncomfortable truth. Over the past decade, Sri Lanka has become one of the most dangerous places in the world to be a journalist. At the Sunday Leader newspaper, they're painfully aware of the cost of free speech. In January last year, the outspoken editor of this English-language weekly was gunned down on the streets of Colombo. A ruthless assassination for which no one has ever been punished. The message to every independent-minded journalist could not have been clearer. Frederica Jans, welcome to Hard Talk.
Thank you.
You took your job as the editor of the Sunday Leader newspaper in the most terrible of circumstances. Your predecessor, Lasantha Wickrematunge, was gunned down on the streets of Colombo. What was it like to take the job when the last editor had been murdered?
It was awful. It was awful because I had worked closely with Lasantha on this newspaper before. I had in fact trained under him. The day that Lasantha was killed was horrible. I was first called, I think Lal, his brother, who is chairman of this newspaper, telephoned me. He was half crying and he said Lasantha had been shot. And I rushed to the hospital and watched him die.
Lasantha wrote this extraordinary valedictory, in a sense, predicting his own death. He wrote it in the days before he was, in essence, assassinated. And in it, as he predicted his own demise, he said, the leader and its staff will fight on. And he used this phrase, unbowed and unafraid. But that cannot be realistic. You cannot be unafraid.
That is the motto of the Sunday Leader. It always has been and it still is. But certainly we are not unafraid. This newspaper has been burnt down twice. Its presses have been burnt twice. We were sealed once. We've been threatened, assaulted. Lasantha has been physically assaulted once. His home was shot at another time. When I worked on the newspaper with him, together with him, I too received many death threats. We were in and out of court all the time. So, yes, Lasantha stood by that motto And he ingrained in all of us that we should remain unbowed and unafraid. But that does not mean that Lasantha was also not afraid, or that all of us here have not been afraid at various different times.
Who do you believe is responsible for the death of your predecessor?
I believe it has to be someone or persons who are extremely close to the powers that be and to the president, which is why they continue to be shielded.
Where's your proof?
We actually have no proof, unfortunately.
So why do you believe that? And is it fair to say that if you have not a shred of evidence?
I say that because I cannot believe that our police can be this important that they have not been able to find a single clue leading up to who may have murdered Lasantha. That can only be if those persons, the perpetrators of that attack, are protected by the highest in this land.
Do you think the Sri Lankan people are on your side?
Our readers certainly are. We serve a certain niche market. It's an English newspaper, so we are certainly not as big as a Sinhala newspaper and reaching out to the majority in that context.
Most Sri Lankans are more concerned right now with peace, security, and economic growth. Are you really sure that they would back your call for international action and pressure against Sri Lanka?
They will not actively back our call. That is one of the biggest challenges this newspaper faces, the lack of action by civil society in that context.
Why do you think that is?
I have no idea. This level of apathy among Sri Lankans is something I myself cannot understand. Because as much as you say that yes, we have peace, economic growth and development to a certain extent, on the other hand, there is no freedom of expression, which is what this newspaper has consistently called for. We have also consistently and continuously insisted that we must have an independent judiciary, an independent police, an independent elections commission, none of which are in place yet. But whether these issues matter enough to the majority of Sri Lankans, I honestly don't think so. They obviously don't.
If you believe that, and you believe in essence that the Sri Lankan people are really not particularly bothered to fight for the things you believe in, I come back to our opening conversation. Is it worth it for you to take the risks you've clearly decided to take, accept the dangers that appear to be real, for a cause which most Sri Lankans don't appear to share?
I cannot give up that easily. I love my country. I'm proud to be Sri Lankan. I have every intention of continuing to live in this country. I'm a mother of two. I want my children to continue living in Sri Lanka. And for that, towards that end, I think that I must do my little bit, however small it is, towards ensuring a better and freer society.
Frederica Jans, thank you very much for being on HARDtalk.
Thank you, Stephen. It was great meeting you.
Thank you very much. The Sri Lankan government remains preoccupied with national security, and this is the man who has come to embody the iron will of the country's security apparatus. Gotabaya Rajapaksa is Defence Secretary. In effect, he runs all aspects of security policy for his brother, the President. Gotabaya Rajapaksa, welcome to HARDtalk.
Right.
This country is still giving sweeping powers to the executive upon the notion that there is a war on terror, a war which of course is over. Why do you still need these sweeping powers?
There are so many countries, even in America, that there are laws to protect the country, to prevent anything happening. So they are to prevent things happening. See, what we went through for 30 years, see, a person who had not gone through will not understand the sufferings, the deaths, the loss of lives, loss of property. So we have to give priority number one to this.
There is an authoritarian tendency in Sri Lanka.
No.
And is it justifiable, for example?
No, see, this is very unfair to use these words. No, it's very unfair. We have a democratically elected president. We have a democratically elected government.
But you don't, for example, have a free press, do you?
I don't know why people are harping on these things.
Well, I'll tell you why, because internationally there is great concern that journalists who write perhaps critical pieces about your government end up in serious trouble, and some of them end up dead, as you well know.
These are LTT propaganda. These are propaganda by the people who are against the government. So the international community
no, forgive me, it's not propaganda that Lasantha Wickrematunge, for example, the editor of the Sunday Leader, was assassinated on the streets of the capital. That's not propaganda.
No, read the papers, read the daily papers, read the weekend papers.
Well, I've read all of the papers.
How many tabloids criticizing the government, criticizing the not criticizing is fine, but how many bogus reports, how many monthly,
But hang on a minute.
Things,
when Mr. Wickrematunge wrote his valedictory piece, he foretold his own death. He wrote this. He said, and this is just days before he was shot dead on the streets of Colombo, "Murder," he said, "has become the primary tool whereby the state seeks to control the organs of liberty."
Don't go by these people who are writing against. There are enough people.
He's not writing
today,
anymore. He's dead.
I can quote enough. I can show you enough papers written against President of America or the Prime Minister of UK.
Well, of course you can. And so when I criticize the government of Britain, I do not end up with a bullet in the head.
Criticizing is different. I can show you enough tabloids, quoting a lot of parliamentarians, ministers in the UK, But are you going to believe all these things? And are you going to question on people on those lines?
But Mr. Secretary, let me ask you this question, and it's directed at you both as a very important member of the government, but also as a member of the Rajapaksa family. Does it seem to you healthy in a vibrant democracy that so much power should be held in one family? Your brother,
if the people gives that, President was elected by the people. Basil Rajapaksa was elected by the people with the highest majority in this country, with the highest preferential votes. Namal Rajapaksa was elected by the people with the highest percentage of preferential votes. Chamal Rajapaksa was elected by the people. So what? If the people want, so it be.
The Rajapaksa family is now responsible for 75% of the entire government budget. Is that healthy?
I don't think, those are figures that, you can calculate the various ways. It's not so.
Well, it is so, to be honest. If you think about it, the president himself is responsible for transportation, highways, ports. You know that one of your own brothers is known in this country as Mr. 10%. You know that.
No, those are that rhetoric by the opposition. That is a very common thing in this world, not only in Sri Lanka, all over. People blame various politicians and without any base. There had been a lot of allegations against me, people, because just purely for their personal gains. I went to courts. No, but when a particular paper published a wrong.
The Sunday Leader, the editor of which was assassinated.
I went to court, but that's the correct thing to do.
Does it make sense for a senior official like yourself to sue an independent, one of the very few independent newspapers for 1 billion rupees?
I know this.
1 billion rupees. You want to destroy that newspaper.
What else I should do?
You're seeking 1 billion rupees. You want to destroy the independent newspaper.
No.
Well, why are you seeking 1 billion rupees?
I want to put on record that this was a wrong allegation.
And why are you seeking 1 billion rupees, which you know they can't afford? Why are you doing that?
If they can't afford, they have to close down the
Exactly.
papers. Yeah. So let it be.
That's what you want.
Yeah. That's my right. That's my right to defend myself.
Mr. Secretary.
And tell the people, look, all these are bogus allegations.
If I may, Mr. Secretary, I need to ask you a personal question. Are you worried that you personally may be accused of war crimes?
No, I'm not worried because I have not done any crime.
You see,
fighting,
as you know, that is not...
Is fighting terrorism a crime? Is fighting terrorism is a crime?
Depends how you fight it.
Yeah.
Depends what you do.
There is only way to fight terrorism. Fight.
No, but it wouldn't...
I don't see that there is any...
If you believe you're involved in a war on terror, it would not allow you, for example, to give an order to one of your senior officers telling him to shoot people who are trying to surrender waving a white flag.
No, I have never
That
given
would still
any
be a war
instruction.
crime.
Nobody had done that. Nobody had
Well, you
done
know that the army commander at the end of the war has since given interviews in which he says he has information that you gave an army commander the instruction to shoot.
Don't grab these political issues. You know what? Who he is? He contested for his, personal gains. So don't drag him into this.
But this is General Fonseca who says he has information that you gave the order.
That is that's a political game.
Well, that's what I want to pursue now. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that. You keep saying it's a political game. What? Is the fact that General Fonseca is now in detention?
He's lying.
Is in detention. He faces court-martial. Is that because he, in essence, accused you of a war crime, and he also said he would be prepared to...
That is one point.
And he
that
also
is
said,
hang on,
he also,
that is one point.
He also said he would testify before an independent war crimes investigation. Is that what you are frightened of?
Yes, it is that one point. He can't do that. He was the commander. He's responsible. That's a treason. We will hang him if he do that. I'm telling you, that's a treason.
You would not...
How can he tell that? How can he lie that? How can he betray the country? How can he, by such lies? If he says that, he's a liar.
You would have
He's a liar.
You would have him executed for testifying before an independent tribunal investigating war crimes?
What I'm saying is for betraying a country, lying, betraying soldiers. Isn't that a crime? Is that a treason?
What is going to happen to General Fonseca?
I don't know. He has to face the court-martial. So the court will give the decision.
It is extraordinary, is it not, that this man who was close to you, close to your brother, the president, who was the head of the army...
Don't talk about him. It's his own wish, his ambitions. He wanted to, contest elections, so he did it.
Yeah, Mr. Secretary, it just strikes me that we're at a very important moment in your country. The war has been over for 1 year, and you and the people in the government, and indeed the wider population, have to decide what sort of a country in this post-war period you want to live in.
Yes.
Do you want to live in a country that is truly democratic, where the rule of law is respected and is paramount? Or do you want to live in a country where there is a strongman leader, where in the end security and the interests of power are put before individual rights? Which country, which Sri Lanka do you want to live in?
You put it in a very, very wrong way. The president was very recently elected by majority of this country, people, as the head of state. We just finished the parliamentary election. This is democracy. This is democracy. But, the security in this country is not for one person. It's not for one family. It's not for some people. It is for the country. It is for the people of this country.
And bottom line, this government and you are not changing course.
The people of this country over and over again, they are electing the president, they are electing this government. Why? Because they think that they are doing the right thing.
And there we must leave it. But Gotabaya Rajapaksa, thank you very much indeed for being on Hard Talk.
Thank you very much. Nice meeting you.